performances. One of them is a scene, everything else is monologues or sonnets. So we'll have the first 8, then we will have an intermission. Please drink. Our wonderful host, Cameron Music Company, is hosting the bar, and we want to support them. Please drink a lot. We also have free snacks over on this side. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off. And yes. What are you motioning?
He's filming. Just so people know, I am filming.
Okay,
so
yes,
yeah.
Chris is filming.
Yes.
So, let's see. Is there anything else I need to announce?
Cell phone.
Cell phone's
No,
off.
I already did that. Yes. Let me see. Do all the performers have the order? And let me check. The only person I don't know is June Fan Lee. Are you here? Yay! Hello. Do you need the order?
No, go ahead.
You got it. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, without further ado, our first act is a reading by Charles Jeong. This is Ben Jonson's tribute to Shakespeare. The title of it is "To the Memory of My Beloved Author, Mr. William Shakespeare."
As Lawrence says, the thing that this rather long poetry that I'll be reading tonight is not written by Shakespeare, but it was written for Shakespeare. It's about Shakespeare. It's written by one Ben Jonson. He was Shakespeare's contemporary. He was his fellow playwright, he was his friend, and also a rival. So it was published as a part of a preface to the first folio, which is the combination, is a collection of all the history, tragedies, dramas that Shakespeare wrote, which was compiled by Shakespeare's other good friends, John Hemmings and Henry Condell, in the year 1623, which is 7 years after Shakespeare's death, which is today, 1616. So it's a beautiful poetry. It contains most of the many expressions about Shakespeare. So I want you to imagine Ben Jonson, 7 years after his friend's gone. He's trying to recall what he was like, trying to somehow hold the good memories. He picks up the pen, he writes. And it is titled, "To the Memory of My Beloved, the Author, Mr. William Shakespeare, and What He Had Left Us." And it goes, "To draw no envy, Shakespeare, on thy name am I thus ample to thy book and fame. While I confess thy writing to be such as neither men nor muse can praise too much, 'tis true, and all men's suffrage. But these ways were not the paths I meant unto thy praise, for serious ignorance on these may light, which, when it sounds at best but echoes right, or blind affection, which doth ne'er advance the truth but gropes and urges all by chance. Or crafty malice might pretend this praise and think to ruin when it seemed to raise. These are, as some infamous bawd or whore should praise a matron, what could hurt her more? But thou art proof against them, and indeed above the ill fortune of them, or the need. I therefore will begin. Soul of the age, the applause, delight, the wonder of our stage, my Shakespeare, rise. I will not lodge thee by Chaucer or Spencer or bid Beaumont lie a little further to make thee a room. Thou art a monument without a tomb, and art alive still, while thy book doth live, and we have wit to read and give the praise. That I might not mix thee, so my brain excuses, I mean with great but disproportioned muses. For if I thought my judgment were of years, I should commit thee surely with thy peers, and tell how far thou didst our Lily outshine, or Sporting Kid, or Marlowe's mighty line. And though thou hast small Latin and less Greek, from thence to honour thee I would not seek for names, but call forth thundering Aeschylus, Euripides, and Sophocles to us, Pacuvius, Asius, him of Cordova dead, to live again, to hear thy buskin tread, and shake a stage, or, when thy socks were on, leave thee alone, for the comparison of all that insolent Greece or haughty Rome sent forth, or since did from their ashes come. Triumph, my Britain! Thou hast one to show to whom all scenes of Europe homage owe. He was not of an age, but for all time. And all the muses still were in their prime when, like Apollo, he came forth to warm our ears and like a Mercury to charm. Nature herself was proud of his designs, enjoyed to wear the dressing of his lines, which was so richly spun and woven so fit, as since she will vouchsafe no other wit. The merry Greek, tart Aristophanes, neat Terence, witty Plautus, now not pleased, but antiquated and deserted lie, as they were not of nature's family. Yet must I not give nature all, thy art, my gentle Shakespeare, must enjoy a part. For though the poet's matter nature be, his art doth give the fashion, and that he who casts to write a living line must sweat, such as thine are, and strike the second heat upon the muse's anvil, turn the same and himself with it, that he thinks to frame. Or, for the laurel he may gain a scorn, for a good poet's made as well as born. And such wert thou. Look how the father's face lives in his issue. Even so the race of Shakespeare's mind and manners brightly shines in his well-turned and true-filed lines, in each of which he seems to shake a lance as brandished at the eyes of ignorance. Sweet swan of Avon, what a sight it were to see thee in our waters yet appear, and make these flights upon the banks of Thames, as though did take Eliza and our James. But stay, I see thee in the hemisphere advanced, and make a constellation there. Shine forth, thou star of poets, and with rage or influence chide or cheer the drooping stage, which, since thy flight from hence, has mourned like night, and despair's day, but for thy volume's light. Thank you.
It were not beauty's name, but now is black beauty's successive heir, and beauty slandered with a bastard shame. For since each hand hath put on nature's power, bearing the foul with art's false borrowed face, sweet beauty hath no name, no holy bower, but is profaned, if not lives in disgrace. Therefore my mistress' eyes are raven black, her eyes so suited, and they mourners seen, at such who, not born fair, no beauty lack, slandering creation with a false esteem. Yet so they mourn, becoming of their woe, that every tongue says beauty should look so.
Last song to my phone back, she does. I'm an Englishman, alright? And I just feel inspired to do this day. It's the Queen's birthday this week, 90 years. Brilliant. And also, it's going to be the great man's birthday and the great day that the great man passed away. It's also St. George's Day, so if I may, please try and remember that Shakespeare did write a lot of comedy. Once more, onto the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, imitate the action of a tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard favoured rage, then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head, like the brass cannon, let the brow overwhelm it, as fearfully as doth a gold rock. O'erhang a jutty his confused base, swilled with the wind and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostrils wide. Hold hard the breath and bend every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fed from fathers of war-proof. Fathers that, like so many Alexanders, having in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonour not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you called fathers did not beget you. Be copied now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the metal of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath no noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit upon this charge. Cry God for Elizabeth.
Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit that from her workings all his visage wan? Tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice, and with his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit. And all for nothing. For Hecuba! What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I had? He would drown the stage in tears, and cleave the general ear with horrid speech, make mad the guilty, and appall the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze, indeed, the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy-mettled rascal, peak, like Joma dreams, unpregnant of my court, and can say nothing. No, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain? Plucks out my beard, blows at my face, breaks my pate across, twists me by the nose, gives me the lie of the throat, stinks the lungs. Who does me this? Huh? Swoons, I should take it! For it cannot be that I am but pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter, or ere this I should have fattened all the region's kites with this slave's awful, bloody, bawdy villain, treacherous, remorseless, kindless villain. No vengeance! What an ass am I! This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father, murdered, prompted to my revenge by both heaven and hell, was like a whore, unpack my heart with words, fall to the very drab, a cursing and scullion. Oh, fly upon foe, about my brain. I have heard that guilty preachers sitting at a play have, with the very cunning of the scene, that struck so to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their manufactions. Though murder, though it hath no tongue, speak with the most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tend him to the quick. If he do blench, I know my course. The spirit I have seen may be the devil, and the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape. And yea, perhaps in my weakness and my melancholiness, it is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. Our ground's more relative than this. The play's the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
To set the stage a little bit, Caesar is dead. Brutus, Cassius, and all the other guys who aren't important enough to remember the names of have stuck all their daggers in him and left him lying, bleeding on the floor of the Senate. That's when Caesar's good friend, Marc Antony, comes in, confronts the assassins, works out a bit of a deal with them, strikes a bit of an accord. There's going to be a speech later, and he's quietly setting a trap, sort of, but he's not entirely confident it's going to work. So now the assassins have left Marc Antony alone to have a moment to mourn his friend. Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. Thou art the ruins of the noblest man that ever lived in the tide of times. Woe to the hands that shed this costly blood. Over thy wounds do I prophesy, which like dumb mouths do ope their ruby lips to beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. A curse shall light upon the limbs of men. Domestic fury and civil strife shall cumber all the parts of Italy. Blood and destruction shall be so in use, and dread objects so familiar that mothers shall but smile when they behold their infants quartered with the hands of war. All pity choked with custom of fell deeds. And Caesar's spirit, ranging for revenge with 8 by his side come hot from hell, within these confines in a monarch's voice shall cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth with carrion men groaning for burial.
The assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success. That but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all. Here. But here upon this bank and shoal of time we jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here. That British bloody instruction which being taught returned to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poisoned chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed. Then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan had borne his faculties so weak, had been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off, and pity like a naked newborn babe horsed upon the valiant couriers of the air, shall blow this horrid deed in every eye. The tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other.
Maybe also a little bit of background. This takes place on the field of Agincourt, right before the Battle of Agincourt. And Henry is, his cousin Westmoreland is bemoaning the fact that they don't have enough soldiers to fight the French army. And Henry hears and starts up and like, wait a second. So if you feel the need hearing this speech to go out and kill anybody, please do. What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland. No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee. Wish not one man more. Rather, proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host. Let him who have no stomach for this battle, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not want that man's fellowship who fears his company to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Christmas. He that outlives this day and comes safe home shall stand at tiptoe when the day is named and rouse him at the name of Crispin. He that outlives this day and sees old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is St. Crispin's. Then he strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget. It all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford, Exeter, Warwick, Talbot, Salisbury, Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. The story shall the good man teach his son. Crispin shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. If you, happy few, you band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England, now abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day!
Hello, my name is Sia Kim. I am a random, not really random, university student from Korea. I'm going to do a monologue from Richard II, by Richard II. It's one of my favorite plays, and my dream is actually to play Richard II. But, seeing as I am a short Asian girl, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon. So I might as well, like, make do with what I have.
Yeah.
And my favorite scene is actually the deposition scene, but that has 4 characters in it, including Richard II, and I'm not 4 people, and me and the voices in my head are only 3 people, so I guess I'll just have to do a monologue. The situation is that Richard II has just found out that several of his friends have either deserted him or been executed by his rude cousin Bellinger, who is trying to usurp his throne. So he is very dismayed and depressed, and I have not like practiced this, So I decided to do this 15 minutes ago, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes. Comfort no man speak. Talk us graves, lands and epitaphs. Dust our paper with rainy eyes, write sorrow on the bosom of the air. Choose executive and talk of wills, and yet not so. For what can we bequeath save our supposed bodies to the ground? Our lands, our lives, and all our Bolingbrooks. Nothing can we call alone. Death. And the small model of the mariner is served as paste and covered to our bones. God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. How some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed, or murdered. For within the hollow crown bounds the mortal tongue of the king, keeps death his court, and there the antic sits, scoffing his state and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath of little sea to mankind. Fear that kills his looks, infusing him with self and vain conceit, and if his flesh, which falls about our life of brass impregnable, human thus, comes at the last, and with a little pin, almost through the castle wall, farewell king. Cover your heads, and mark not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty. You have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread like you. Feed want, taste, grief, need friends, subjected thus. How can you say to me, I am a king? Thank you.
All of them have been shipwrecked on this mysterious island. Trinculo has been shipwrecked by himself or herself, and thinks everyone else is dead. About to be reunited with his friend, but has not come across him yet, so he thinks he's alone on this island. The native creature Caliban has a speech just before Trinculo's entrance. He's just been kind of spooked by Trinculo, and he's hiding underneath this blanket. So there's a mysterious to me. But yeah, Jamie's not here, but Kahlid, both of them have played this. Yeah, Caliban is hiding under here, and I think that's all. He is neither bush nor shrub to bear off any weather at all. And another storm will win. I hear it sing in the wind. Yon same black cloud, yon huge one, looks like a foul fish of thunder as it did before. I know not where to hide me head. Yon same cloud cannot choose but fall by pale fools. What have we here? A man or a fish? Dead or alive? Whoa! A fish. Smells like fish. Very ancient and fish-like smell. Kind of not the newest, poor John. Strange fish. Were I in England now as once I was, and had but this fish painted, not all that a fool ever would give a piece of silver. There would this monster make a man. Any strange beast there makes a man. When they will not give a doit to relieve a lame beggar, they will lay out 10 to see a dead Indian. Legged like a man, and his fins like arms. Oh, warm, my troth. Ha! I do not let this my opinion. Hold it no longer. This is no fish, but an islander that hath lately suffered by a thunderbolt. Alas, the storm has come again. My best way is to creep under his gallantine. There is no other shelter here about. Misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows. Only a shroud, till the dregs of the storm be past.
Aaron has just been caught, and technically he's hanging with a noose around his neck, confessing everything that he has done. He's pretty much made a deal that as long as his son lives, he'll express everything and tell all. Indeed, I was their tutor to instruct them. That codding spirit had they from their mother, as sure a cod as ever won the set. That bloody mind, I think they learned of me, as true a dog as ever fought at head. Well, let my deeds be witness of my worth. I trained thy brethren to that guileful hole, where the dead corpse of Bassianus lay. I wrote the letter thy father found, and hid the gold within that letter mentioned, confederate with the queen and her 2 sons. But what not done, that thou hast caused to rue, wherein I had no stroke of mischief in it. I played the cheater for thy father's hand, and when I had it, drew myself apart, and almost broke my heart with extreme laughter. I pried me through the crevice of a wall, when for his hand he had his 2 sons' heads, beheld his tears, and laughed so heartily that both mine eyes were rainy like his. And when I told the empress of this sport, she sounded almost at my pleasing tale, and for my tidings gave me 20 kisses. Even now I curse the day, and yet I think, a few come within the compass of my curse, wherein I did not some notorious ill, as kill a man, or else devise his death, ravish a maid, or plot the way to do it, accuse some innocent, and forswear myself, set deadly enmity between 2 friends, make poor men's cattle break their necks, set fire on barns and haystacks in the night, and bid the owners quench them with their tears. Oft have I digged up dead men from their graves, and set them upright at their dear friend's door, and with my knife carved it in Roman letters. Let not your sorrow die, though I am dead. I have done 1,000 dreadful things, as willingly as one would kill a fly. And nothing grieves me more heartily, but that I cannot do 10,000 more.
It's from The Merchant of Venice. You all know this story. It's one of the most famous plays. So, this is a monologue of Shylock. It takes place in a court. So, Shylock has lent a money, 3,000 ducats, to Antonio, the merchant of Venice, and he fails to pay this back. So, he's trying to take his forfeit, which is, of course, a pound of flesh. He's in the court, and the Duke, which is the judge in the court, asks him to be merciful, to render mercy. You've already heard this eloquent soliloquy on mercy from our first hand of Shylock. And Shylock goes on to explain why he does that, his motivation, rather both eloquently and bluntly. Okay. I have informed your grace of what I purpose. And by our holy Sabbath have I sworn to have the due and forfeit of my part. If you deny it, let the danger light upon your charter, and your seat is freedom. you have asked me why I rather choose to have a weight of carrion flesh than to receive 3,000 ducats. I will not answer that, but say, it is my humor. What if my house be troubled by a rat, and I be pleased to give 10,000 ducats to have it killed? Well, are you answered yet? Some men there are love like a gaping pig, some that are mad if they behold a cat, and others, when the bagpipe sings in the nose, cannot contain their urine. For affection, master of passion, sways it to the mood of what it likes or loathes. And now for your answer. As there is no firm reason to be rendered why he cannot abide a gaping pig, why he, a harmless, necessary cat, why he, a wooden bagpipe, but a force must yield to such inevitable shame as to offend himself being offended, so can I give no reason. Nor will I not. More than a lodged hate and a certain loathing I bear Antonio, that I follow thus this losing suit against him. Are you answered? What judgment should I dread, doing no wrong? You have among you many a purchased slaves, which like your asses and your dogs and mules you use in abject and in slavish part because you bought them. Shall I say to you, let them be free? Marry them to your heirs? Why, sweat they under burden, let their beds be made as soft as yours, their palates seasoned with your food. You will answer, the slaves are ours. So do I answer you, the pound of flesh that I demand of him is dearly bought. It's mine, and I will have it. If you deny me, fie upon your law! There is no force in the decrees of Venice. I ask for judgment. Answer. Shall I have it?
Spaniard, and he has fallen in love with a base wench, or a country maid called Jackaness. I will hereupon confess I am in love. And as it is base for a soldier to love, so am I in love with a base wench. If drawing my sword against the humour of affection would deliver me from the reprobate thought of it, I would take Desire prisoner, and ransom him to any French courtier for a new devised courtesy. I think scorn to sigh. Methinks I should outswear Cupid. I do affect the very ground which is base, where her shoe, which is baser, guided by her foot, which is basest, doth tread. I shall be forsworn, which is a great argument of falsehood, if I love. And how can that be true love which is falsely attempted? Love is a familiar, love is a devil. There is no evil angel but love. Yet was Samson so tempted, and he had an excellent strength, yet was Solomon so seducing, he had a very good wit. Cupid's butt shaft is too hard for Hercules' club, and therefore too much odds for a Spaniard's rapier. The first and second course will not serve my turn. Posada he respects not, and Shywello he regards not. His disgrace is to be called boy, but his glory is to subdue men. A Jew, valor. Rust, rapier. Be still, drum, for your manager is in love! Yea, he loveth. Assist me some extemporal god of rhyme, for I am sure I shall turn sonnet. Devise wit, write pen, for I am for whole volumes in folio.
What really show going into this is on trial for committing adultery, which... Sir, spare your threat. The boat which you would fright me with, I see. To me in life be no commodity, the crown and comfort of my life, your favor. And you give for lost. For I do feel it gone, but know not how it went. My second comfort, and first fruits of my body. From his presence I am barred like one infectious. My third joy, started most unluckily is from my breath. The innocent milk in its most innocent mouth, hailed out to murder, and myself on every post proclaimed a strumpet. With a modest hatred, the child-bed privilege denied which longs to women of all fashion. And lastly, hurried here, to this place, before I have got strength of limit. Now, my liege, tell me, what blessings have I here alive that I should fear to die? Therefore proceed, but yet hear this. No life, I prize it not a straw, but for mine honor, which I would free, if I shall be condemned upon surmises, all proof sleeping else, but what your jealousies do awake, I tell you. 'Tis rigor, and not law. Your honors, all, I do condemn me to the oracles. Apollo be my judge.
I have to imagine there is a mirror here.
And over here. There's bed over here.
He will come straight. Look, you lay home to him. Tell him his pranks have been too broad to bear with, and that your grace hath stood between much heed and him. And I'll hide me in here. I pray you be round with him.
Warren, you fail me not!
Mother! 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 Now, Mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you had my father much offended.
Come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, you question with a wicked tongue.
Why out now?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
No, by the rule of still, you are the queen, your husband's brother's wife. And would it were not so you, and my mother.
Oh, nay, then I'll send those to you that can speak.
Come and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What would thou do? Thou wilt not murder me? Ow! Ow! Ow!
Now, a rag's dead for a bucket. Oh, dead.
I'm slain.
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed this is!
Almost as fast my good mother has killed a king and married with his brother.
Has killed the king!
Aye, then it was my word. Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool! Farewell. I took thee for thy better, take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy is some danger. The wringing of your hands. Peace, and sit you down, and let me wring your heart. For so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff, if damned custom have not brass this, let it be proof and bullock against sense.
What have I done? That dares wag thy tongue and noise so rude against
Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes up the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as Titus oaths. Such a deed that from the body of contrition plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes rhapsody of words. Heaven's face doth glow, yea, this solidity and compound mass with truthful visages against the doom is thought sick at the act.
I mean, what act? That roars so loud and thunders in the index.
Look here, on this picture, and on this. The counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See? What a grace was seated on this proud Hyperion skulls, the front of cloven selving, I, like Mars, to threaten and command a spaceship. Like the herald Mercury, new lighted on heaven-kissing hill, a combination in a falling deep where every god deceived to set his seal, to give the world assurance. Amen. This was your husband. Like a mildewed ear blasting its wholesome brother. You eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Huh? Have you eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment to step from this to this? Sense. Sure you have, else you do not have motion, but sure the sense is apoplexed. For madness would not, no sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thrall, but it reserves some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. What devil was that thus there's cousin you at a who's men blind? Eyes without feeling, feelings without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all, or but a sickly part of one true sense would not so mold.
She's right over here.
Here's a joke.
Oh shame! Where's thy blush? Rebellious hell, if thou canst mutine in a matron's bones to flaming youth, let virtue be as wax and melt in her own fire. Proclaim no shame and compulsive ardor gives the charge this frost itself as actively does burn, and reason panders will.
Oh, Hamlet, speak no more! Thou turn'st mine eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and brained spots as will not leave their teeth.
Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamied bed, stewed in corruption, in your naked noble with a nasty star.
Speak no more! Daggers into the very ears!
A vice of kings, a compass of the empire, and the rule that from a shelter precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket. Oh, save me, and hover over me with your wings, you heavenly gods. What is your gracious fear?
Oh, lassie's mad!
Do you not come, your tardy son, to chide that lapsed in time and passion let's go by the important acts of your dread command? Oh, say.
Do not forget, this visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose. But look, amazement on thy mother sits. Conceit in weakest bodies, strongest works. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul. Speak to her, Hamlet!
How's it with you, lady?
How is
it with you? You two bend your eye on vacancy with the incorporeal air to our discourse. Oh, gentle son, upon the heat and flame with our distemper, sprinkle cool patience. Whereon do you look?
On him! On him! Look you how pale he glares, his form and course conjoins preaching to stones would make them capable. Do not look upon me, lest with his piteous actions you convert my stern effects, and what I have to do will want true color, tears, perchance for blood.
To whom do you speak this? Nothing at all. Yet all it is I see.
Did you nothing hear?
No, nothing but ourselves.
Why, look you! There! Look! Oh, where it steals away! My father! In his heaven that he lived! Look where he goes even now! Out of the portal!
This is the very coinage of your brain. This bodiless creation, ecstasy, is very convenient.
Ecstasy. My pulse, as yours, does temperately keep time and makes this healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I, the matter, will reword which madness would gamble from. Mother, Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul that your trespass what my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infected unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come. And do not spread the compass on the weeds to make them rancor. Forgive me this my virtue, for in the fatness of these cursed times, virtue itself of vice must pardon bear, yea, curb and move for me.
Oh, Hamlet! Thou hast cleft my heart in twain!
Throw away the worst part of it, and live the purer with the other half. But go not to mine uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. That monster custom whole sense doth eat, of habit's devil is angel, yet in this, that to the use of actions bad, it likewise gives a proper liver, that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight. And there shall end a kind of easy, and more easy, for use. Almost change the stamp of nature, and either shame the devil, or throw him out with wondrous courtesy. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I'll blessing beg of you. For the same Lord I do repent, for heaven hath pity so to punish me with this, and this would be that I must plead a scourge against her. I will bestow him, and will done so well that death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel, need to be kind. Thus bad begins, and worse remains behind. One more word. One word more, good lady.
What shall I do?
Not this. By no means that I bid you do. Let the blood king tempt you again to bed. Call you his mouse, pinch wanton on your cheek, and let him, for a pair of reaching kisses, or paddling in your neck with his damn fingers, make you to revel all this matter out, that I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft. Who to let him know? For who that's but a queen, fair, sober, wise, and from a paddock, a bag, a jib, such dear concerning sight, who would do so? No. In this I just sense in secrecy, unpack the basket at the house's couch, and ache to try and conclude. In the basket, break your own neck down.
Without a shorn. Words be made of breath, and breath of life. I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me.
I must to England. You know that?
Oh, that I forgot. This I concluded on.
There's letters sealed. My two schoolfellows, whom I would trust as I would Edda's friend. They bear a mandate, they must sweep my way and marshal me to knavery. Let it work. For 'tis a sport to have the engineer hoisted his own petard, and it shall go hard. But I will delve 1 yard below their mine and blow them at the moon. Oh, 'tis but sweet when in one line two crafts directly meet. This man shall set me packing. I'll lock the cloth into the neighbor room. Good night, mother. Indeed, this counselor is now most still, most secret, and most grave, who was in life a foolish, prating knave. Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you. Mother, good night.
If we shadows have offended, think with this, and all is met. You have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle thing, no more yielding but a dream, gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And as I am an honest buck, if we have unearned luck ere to escape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long. Else the buck a liar. And so, good night unto you all. Give us hands if we be friends.